get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon.
Pause 4, but most of the time pause 5. Just very, very effective.
Yeah, it gives you great team fight. The presence in lane is kind of hard to counteract, and in the team fights it forces you to focus on a certain hero. Still, Geek Fam, this wasn't banned out. They do manage to pick the Morphling up, and we have seen that when played by Raven rather consistently from Geek Fam. This is a pick they have gone into multiple times, with or without the Shaker. So look to Raven again, playing that core. Geek Fam, they're gonna have to give him space, but their first two heroes do kind of indicate that they will be playing aggressive with Carl and Cuckoo anyway. So Raven should have that room. Rather strange way to go about the draft. It looks like they will close out with their support duo, which we don't tend to see too often, but ADROIT, they pick up the Venge. So you've got their support duo up in the front now, Phoenix and Venge. Not the most synergistic. There can be certain pickups for cores that really benefit from that Venge. Maybe we see something like the Medusa come out. I think we've seen that Medusa versus Morphling a few times, and it does feel like the Medusa can start to snowball a bit faster, especially when you are enabled by something like the Venge.
That is true. And ADROIT, they do have the right now if they so wish. Doesn't seem like it do too badly up against the Morph either. We've seen that multiple times now, that Medusa versus Morph matchup, and it does really start to favor the Medusa as you go late into the game. Get through the mana pool and HP of that Medusa. But ADROIT, they'll have a think about it. It definitely doesn't seem like ADROIT's kind of style to run Medusa though, does it? Like, they love to finish games fast, they love to play fast. I haven't had the pleasure of seeing ADROIT play Medusa as of yet, but
yeah, nah.
I will have it now.
Yeah, again, you've got the Venge, you've got the Phoenix. We've seen this kind of combo before. This does force you to, if ADROIT does fight, you know, are you going to focus on the egg and risk the Stone Gaze, or are you just going to run away and risk getting stunned by the egg? So there's a lot of back and forth with how ADROIT can run this. With Avenge, I don't think Medusa takes too long to come online. You just need levels on Avenge, points in the aura, and the Medusa can start to be a bit more...
The final ban's coming out now. Beastmaster will be the ban out there from GEEK fam. ADROIT yet to make their final ban. But GEEK fam are seemingly still looking for a position 4 pick. Unless it's a pos 4 Queen of Pain. But they have left that Zephyr hero till last, it seems. Not 100% sure what they'll go for, but it seems as though ADROIT don't think that's the case. They get rid of the Nature's Prophet, so... Do you think support Quap is the pickup here from GEEK fam?
I think Zephyr has done that a couple of times. I'm not sure how great that is with an Ogre Magi support. Like, that just sounds cluster as a duo. There are certain gaps in the hole, but GEEK fam's draft tendency is usually to last pick Cuckoo's hero. That's what we've seen a couple of times from GEEK fam, so it could be that. They could just be trying to trick ADROIT into something here in the draft still. I honestly think the Quap off is fine. Like, Quap off, DK mid, it's a really early timer. You just need that kind of enables that. We've seen a lot of Witch Doctors that does enable a lot of early aggression, and that could fit in. Of course, Ogre Magi Witch Doctor as a support duo is a bit too selfless, but it can happen.
I like that. The Elder Titan comes out. I really do like this pick. Like, not only are you removing all that resistant armor and magic resist from that Elder Titan now, but he has so much team fight. With the Medusa as well, if you find yourself kind of stuck in the middle of everything as this Medusa, you can just kind of stop the team fight now with that Elder Titan and reset and just go back into it. Seems very, very effective up against heroes like that Queen of Pain and Morphling that love to be mobile and just go back and blow people up. That Elder Titan should stop things from happening like that. Even as well as that, up against the Morphling who has such high base armor because of all that agi he tends to morph into, that's basically all going to be removed by this Elder Titan aura.
Yeah, it's a solid pick to counteract that morph. Even the DK, of course, has that high natural resist that's going to suffer. So the team fight from ADROIT is starting to line up. I think the aggression that they have with this trio is looking pretty solid. The big question is, how much can Ben Soy get from the core ET? We haven't seen the ET in the core role in a while, but I think it still works out. It's still a very early timing hero, and you can get a lot done. So ADROIT, it does feel like they've drafted something that suits their playstyle. It fits into early aggression, early team fights, and if you let this draft get ahead, it's going to snowball really hard. They've got the Medusa. You can't afford to fall behind here if you're GEEK fam.
Brewmaster comes out from GEEK fam. I almost thought we were watching TNC for a second. Brewmaster's not something I've picked up as of yet. I don't mind seeing the pickup come out. It does mean we are going to see that position 4 Queen of Pain, so ADROIT were correct in assuming that. I don't know how to feel about it though. Like, the Tornado seems quite nice to Matsumi. You just tornado the Medusa up, take care of everyone else, and then deal with the Medusa last, assuming you can win that team fight. But this draft, do they have enough to deal with the Medusa? Like, ultimately, if things don't go as planned in the team fight, which 90% of the time it doesn't, right? It's usually chaos in the team fight.
Oh yeah.
Is this enough of a draft to deal with this Medusa?
There's a really early timer for that to deal with it. I think if you're talking about maybe 15 to 20, 25 minutes max, yeah, they've got enough to handle the Medusa. And as long as ADROIT kind of whiff the egg and the Titan spells, then you have an opening. But past 25, which is the tendency we've seen for Medusa, it comes online really early. At that point, it can get a bit too big. You're talking about a lot of durability there. You're talking about focusing every hero on that one Medusa, and again, we've seen the Medusa Morphling matchup. Even early shotgun from the Morphling, it's just not enough in terms of raw damage. So GEEK fam has to play pretty darn fast. They have to maximize this Zephyr Queen of Pain aggressively, ensure that Natsuki doesn't have a good time farming, and ensure Raven gets online fast, because again, you can't allow that Medusa to grow big. It just takes over the game.
Seattle pans out. It is game number 1 between GEEK and ADROIT. Both these teams have looked pretty darn good over the past few days. It's a very close kind of matchup to start us off for today, I would say.
Yeah.
They're right next to each other in the group stage right now in terms of standings.
That they are. And again, they've been really even in their matchups. Head-to-head is just 50-50.
See you later.
Strat is pretty close from each side as well. Like, you've given GEEK fam some comfort picks, like Raven having this move. We've seen him play this really, what, I'd say 90% of the time, 80% of the time in the game so far. He has performed great. It's just, it's a tall order for Morphling up against DOTA. Just based on how that matchup went the past few days, really it's over. So it's down to GEEK fam to play aggressive. I think one really important thing is Cuckoo's lane. They can't allow the Brewmaster to fall behind. Cuckoo needs to be ready to buy that space for the morph to start chaos very early on.
Not going to be there up against Carl in that mid lane. It's not going to be the funnest matchup of December. So the DK can be quite frustrating to have to go up against in that 1v1 matchup. It's a lot of pressure here on Raven. He's going to really farm up quite fast in this Morphling. What kind of item build do you think this morph will go for? Like, will we see Raven go into that Sergeant build that we've seen Savage going too many times? Do we see the shotgun again? What do you think?
I think in this case, you don't have the... So you are usually just going shotgun straight up. Shotgun, I would blame him for maybe going a bit, frankly, maybe a diffusal just to deal with Medusa, but what we've tended to see is a shot. The only time they deviate is when you have the shakes of the Ags. So it's really just going to be that shotgun timing key for Raven. He needs it up while the Medusa is squishy. We've seen it once you have max mana shield. It doesn't do much. It just tickles that Medusa.
Okay. I feel that's probably the way Raven will go. So I'd ask if you had any interesting ideas for trying to deal with Natsumi. Like every Medusa we've seen so far, I feel like has won. Is it 100% win rate right now? These Medusa picks?
I think it has been, yeah. I think it has been like over 3-4 games every single time. Medusa is just there. It feels like a lot of teams have forgotten how to deal with it. We're not seeing the punishment in the jungle. And again, it's down to GEEK fam to shut the map down, because Natsumi, again, that space is going to be key.
Yeah, put him in the safe lane as well now with Medusa, so he's going to be feeling very, very safe. And that's AML right there as well, so you already have the combination of the Venge Medusa in the same lane. So definitely going to be there for Tuka to try and shut Natsumi down. Now they are going to go on CML. That Cinderbrew flow is quite painful here for CML, but he will be able to get out there. Throws the stun out just before he gets up. Not going to be an easy lane for this poor Venge.
No, definitely not. It's just the Cinderbrew along with the Shadow Strike is pretty annoying to deal with. Still, CML, he's doing his job. It's not Natsumi copying this damage, and so Natsumi can continue farming up. Right.
So that's the whole point. If you pause 5 guys a million times, it doesn't matter. As long as the puzzle is farming, they don't mind.
Oh yeah.
Mid lane, it's a very even matchup as expected, John. Carl is currently one last hit ahead of that Ember. Not for long though, Matt's going to find that 11th one for himself now. We've seen Carl on the DK quite a lot over the past couple of days as well, and he has been very, very effective. I believe it was yesterday up against TNC, wasn't it? They just made it so TNC couldn't do anything towards them.
Yeah, it's really the tempo Carl brings for the hero, and the fact that, well, you can't really bully out the DK. In this case, I don't think the Ember Spirit's going to be as bad off, because you do have that Flame Guard to play with. You can burn through the armor just by staying in that lane, but it's still not going to be enough. Carl, once the Soul Ring's up, it's going to be consistent spam for Breed Fire, and it's just going to be even.
The lane's just going very, very right now. like Raven is suffering a little bit in the safe lane of the Radiant though. It is a bit difficult up against the Phoenix or the Titan. They just deal so much magic up against this Morph. Of course, that is going to be a core Phoenix as well, by the way. That's not really something we talked about. But Ben Sui is taking farming a key priority. Moving on the pos for Elder Titan. You don't need the core Elder Titan at all. He just does his job regardless of whether he's playing core or support.
Yeah, and I like levels that Boomy went for. He skips the sleep this game, opts for the natural order again to counteract the tankiness that Raven has. So he's going to have to be really careful in trading hits, and this is just allowing Ben Sui to find a lot more than you'd want a Phoenix to. He should have good timings into level 6 and a pretty good time into that Spirit Vessel.
Look at this mid lane. Both supports from GEEK Fam made a rotation in mid, trying to go after Mac, but Mac is seemingly just fine. The TP in his bottle. Net also gives well, so he's going to be just perfectly fine in all this. They definitely want to try and shut Mac down, because we've seen over multiple games now, Mac really does tend to escalate beyond control if you don't take care of it. And speaking of, he's going to make a chase onto Carl right now. With that flame guard damage, he may have enough, but it does wear off. Had it kept going, I think he would have just kept chasing.
Yeah, this is one of the issues for the DK. Like, he does have natural durability, but Ember Spirit doesn't care for that physical armor. So the matchup's not the best. You did have a bit more leeway early, but it's just about time where Mac can pump up the damage. Once he has 6, he is most definitely going to try to find a kill.
Oh, absolutely. Top lane, CML, probably going to be the first blood here, and Zephyr does manage to pick it up. One of the very, very strong things about the pos for Quap is you can do things like that. You have an inbuilt blink. The Shadow Strike is kind of a ridiculous slow and a ridiculous amount of damage right now. You can really dish out onto the opposing pos 5. Not so much for Medusa though, Zephyr. You'll have to back off, losing quite a bit of HP there after getting I'm going to try and have a go here onto Raven. Booming is diving now with Ben Sui. Through side will land, and Booming just really wants to keep chasing, but Raven will be able to wave form out of that. He has really struggled, John. 12 last hits on this Morphling thus far.
Yeah, that's so low compared to her Medusa. You see, Natsumi's at 22. That's 10 CS ahead. And keep in mind, the Morphling does not clear camps as fast as Medusa would in Mask of Madness. So Raven, every single creep counts in this lane, and he's just not finding that space.
Really bonus damage that this Titan has. He's got 200 damage at the moment. That's the strength of the Astral Spirit in the laning phase. It just gets so much temporary bonus damage. Raven is just continuing to have to juggle around with its HP. Not feeling very safe at all. Two race fans trying to go into that Morbid Mars, but it seems like he's going to be relegated to just farm the jungle as soon as he does pick up that. And even then, you already talked about it, but farming up against the Medusa in jungle is not the greatest idea. You might have no choice here.
Yeah, it's just going to be limited for Raven, his presence into this game, and this is really a key thing for GEEK Fam. They could not allow Raven to fall this far behind. Start to look at Carl to maybe get the early rotations. He does have the 6, but looks like he's just going to maintain that mid lane.
I think you just want to push the T1 challenge, right? You're probably not going to rotate as the DK until that T1 mid takes a substantial amount of damage. Matt's been doing a great job of making sure that wave gets pushed in.
You fought and died.
Every time I look at Raven, John, he's just dropping so much HP, and I have to go over again just to make sure it's not dying. But yeah, it hasn't got any better.
No, it really hasn't, and it's just gonna be a really slow start for a Morphling. It does bring to question whether or not the shotgun's gonna be fast enough, and that's gonna be a really big thing to miss out on. Again, that early damage when Medusa's weak is when Morphling kind of shines, and as the moment slips away, you should start to consider maybe a diffusal build into a right-click focus.
Slowing down right now. Natsumi is just continually free-falling. In the jungle right now, this is that point where you hope Zephyr makes those rotations, and he does. Puts out the Medusa. CML's gonna be around the corner. Zephyr, gotta be careful here. CML can stun him, but he will blink away. This is what he does need to do. He needs to keep eyes on Natsumi, soak his speed off him and try to steal as much gold away as he can. But even then, Natsumi just throwing out the Mystic Snake with the Nuka Creep is just so much damage. You can't really contest too long. You need more than one support to deal with this hero.
It's getting really tricky to handle that too. So I think you'd want to see Zephyr and maybe Cuckoo dipping out, or again even Carl, who does make a rotation top. Looks like they do want to pressure that tier 1, but you've already dragged the Medusa away anywhere. So taking this tower won't really stop ADROIT's farms. Additional map control that could come out for GEEK fam.
I think the idea is once they get this top tier one, they go for the mid tier one. But if you get started with the primal split, Cuckoo won't really find a target with that. He's just going to make sure they can secure that tier 1 without any kind of objection from ADROIT. And immediately Carl's going to keep mid and trying to start forcing in that tier 1 mid. Zephyr will jump in, Dragon Tail down on the Medusa, and Natsumi will take no damage. He'll just walk away. But Carl doesn't care. Once you have that tier 1 mid, at least you can slow down the farm by taking the jungle over of the Dire.
Yeah, it's not going to be an objective ADROIT can afford to give out, but they're not really rotating the heroes down mid. I think they understand that Carl is just about to tick out of that dragon form, and again, you've got the D push from Natsumi. It's not really going to die to just the DK.
No, he definitely isn't. He'll be just fine. Arcane Rune, they're going to try and fight over it. Natsumi will be denied off. Now taking another stun out from Carl. I just don't think you have damage. I've got him through most of the map, and that's not fine. Ben is there as well. Egg being dropped. Zephyr is ticking out the damage, though he needs a perfect fire. He will survive, but no, the records come in back. He wants to clean up here. He does not kill off Zephyr. Fire is a very, very strong team, and GEEK fam obviously understands the same about it. But you just don't want to give that little advantage away that could escalate past the point of return. There'll be a smoke up from GEEK fam now. They're going to run down to the bot lane. They do have Primal Split and they do have Dragon Form back up now, so they want to try and make use of it. Again, they'd love to find Natsumi, but instead they're going to run straight into CML, who will break the smoke, but they're not going to be able to catch him up. So GEEK fam, yeah, they're not going to find any of this. And it seems as though they're kind of stuck as to what to do. You can't really escalate with this draft until that mid-tier one's gone. But ADROIT is defending it so well that you just can't even get close.
Yeah, they've got problems initiating as well if they pass Raven in. He's their highest mobility hero. Then the only person that's disabled they can toss is Carl, but he's still saving up for a blink. So it is just down to timing. So Zephyr can blink in first, but if you don't have the control, well, you've got two highly mobile heroes that can just run away. So the initiation is never quite safe. They try to clump up mid again though.
Now Matt's going to be in a drop. He connects on everyone, but not drop yet. He's going to go down very quickly. The Raven is also there to help out with that. Kev's going to force their way into this tier 1 tower. He's not going to open the door, we'll kick the door down. Matt is trying to pump Doomy's here as well. Another great stop out for Doomie. Cuckoo will die, however. Down Natsumi, he is surrounded, but he is still trying to fight back. Matt, meanwhile, finding Whiteman. He's surrounded as well. He should go down to Carl.
And died with honor.
GEEK fam is still trying to breach that tier 1. ADROIT is treating this tier 1 tower like it's their high ground tier 3 tower. And it will finally go down.
Yeah, it's a big objective for them to take. Like mentioned, this does allow them additional control in that jungle. ADROIT, very pointed execution there, not really landing the spell combos they want, and Natsumi does have the Mask of Madness, but doesn't have the skill point just yet. So the presence of the Medusa is not at its highest, and that is something GEEK Fam now is really starting to abuse. They pull ahead, a 2k net worth advantage, and you look at Ray, you know, he's still doing fine in farm, 300 gold ahead of the Medusa. How long that will last? Probably not too long, as Natsumi now can clear out these camps a lot faster.
He is actually going into the Yasha build as well, that Morphling. He's not going straight for the shotgun build. Which makes you kind of ask the question, what itemization is he going for now? Because is he going to build a Manta, or is he really just going to go into the Sergeant Yasha?
Yeah, it's really up in the air. I think if you are just going to go for straight right clicks, S and Y is going to be a lot better. There's no real point for the Manta here, unless you're really worried about the from Mac. It's been rather inconsistent anyway, and I think Mac has a tendency to fall other heroes. So no real need for the Manta in this game just yet, unless you get worried about, say, the Spirit Vessel on the line, but you can just disassemble.
Nice little bounty rune still there. He will avoid the stop from the time. He's now joining the side of the droid as well. But down that box he won. Thing with the droid, they haven't found any towers yet. They definitely need to get this one going for themselves. Of course, there's nothing to happen when you have a Medusa in your team. You can't give up the... Just continue protecting that Medusa for the late game. Not to mention, of course, it is still very, very hard to get tier 1 towers when they have blood loss like this. Like, how do you get through the tower? They just grip it up. Well, Max is trying to tank the tower here. It's now Moon will take over, but you've got to protect that creepway of the siege creep. And eventually they will get through the tower, but they seem to be possibly gripped now by Raven. So Benzo is going to TP in to slow things down. He does have the Veil Discord up on the Phoenix, so it's a lot of magic damage being dealt out to Raven. We'll just kind of walk away from that tier 2 for now, but it already has been a substantial amount of damage.
The way that GEEK Fam's playing their draft is starting to really hurt Droid. Like, there's the early momentum in that, taking over that top jungle. They've got good wards, watching that area and lane, although they do find Whitemon down bot, but that's just an ogre.
Yeah, it's just a nice easy kill. Droid just taking whatever they can. Zep are going to spot out Natsumi from that Medusa, who does now go into the Manta style. Probably their worst for what is Natsumi. Raven's still just behind him. He's trying to finish a Manta on his own. Just really trying to get through that tier 2 top tower. Kind of hasn't joined up at the top lane yet, but looks like he doesn't have the Dragon Form either. He's kind of waiting and farming up himself. He's working towards that BKB, and no, never mind, he is going to start running up towards the north. I think if Carl was there initially, you probably would have already killed that tier 2 tower.
Yeah, would have been a faster take. Still, GEEK Fam are kind of happy to just take their time with it. They know ADROIT, they may be finding farm and not. You look at the farm of Bensoy and Mac, it's not as great. Has been tapering off, so ADROIT is starting to pile all their eggs into one basket. They do smoke up.
Oh, smoke can be broken straight away here on live. It's a smoke on smoke situation. What's being placed? Moving, trying to see how get stunned up. Zooming up, but here it goes. Slowly is there from Natsumi. Gives them, of course, it's the tornado right now, but Wyman will go down straight away. Cuckoo's still trying to do it. And Raven will come back in. Sonic Wave again. Massive from Zephyr. Hitting green heroes. They just continue to go around Medusa. Natsumi now needs to back out of there. They summed him up. Well, he hasn't got any more HP and he will die. And that was the plan along from the Brewmaster, John. You just constantly tornado that Medusa and she can't do anything anyway.
Yeah, it's been really, really good targeting coming out from Cuckoo and they're just not able to do anything about it. They might lose more if they're not careful.
Boomy trying to take me out. There's no stuns available, I don't believe. He will be just fine to get out of there. So they don't actually go for that top tier 2 tower either, Geek fam. They just kind of keep chasing the kills and eventually back off the farm again. Just not really prioritizing that top tier 2 yet.
I think that's fine though. They are pulling ahead in net worth now. You're seeing the farm build up and Carl starting to pay off. Cuckoo's still lagging behind a bit, but not by much. He just needs to... Oh, he already has a blink, so you can argue that the Brewmaster's pretty much set. ADROIT, they still have to stall this game out. Their execution has kind of fallen flat. They just keep going for Whitemon first, and they throw a lot of spells out for the Ogre. They don't have the follow-up afterwards. Like, that was a really early Stone Gaze usage from Natsumi as well. He needed it much later when they were trying to commit onto him, along with the egg running. Those two need to synchronize to maximize their team fight here, and ADROIT's been forced to stagger them. It is hurting their potential, so just a tightening of that execution and giving more time for the Medusa to find at least one more item. The Mantis Style is going to help massively.
That bot lane now, Geek fam. Natsumi is going to be around to clear out the creep wave. ADROIT just sticking as live for the moment. No one's getting caught out here. Matt can start on Cuckoo. There will be a swap out. That will be a very, very easy kill. He doesn't have the prime split to really save himself. It's a great setup there from ADROIT now. This will buy even more time on the side of ADROIT.
Yeah, it definitely will. They do manage to finally take out that tier 2 top down, so the top jungle's completely gone. Natsumi's it's not gonna spend any time there. Does have the Mantis Style on the Medusa, so there's a little bit more stats coming out, just a little bit more flexibility as well in purging off certain spells and dodging certain spells. So if you have that on hand, it's still not quite the strongest point for Natsumi. I think you'd really want to see the level 20 talent to be up and running. Actually, even just 15 is going to help the add mana game. I've seen Natsumi just burn through that mana very fast. It's not a very tanky Medusa just yet.
Not quite yet. You haven't built in that service we get the Zephyr on that campaign. He's currently holding on to the Earth. I'm really feeling in the deck and have that Spirit Vessel up. Definitely helped quite a bit up against the Medusa, but that's too for it, yeah. We're going to try for that road shot now. Raven, of course, hitting very hard on that build. We'll be able to take it out. Look at Tangle working towards that Imperial down, followed by Butterfly. Should have that Aegis on the field soon.
Just gives him a lot more presence in the fights, and of course that's a free disarm onto the Medusa, so a lot of value with that pickup still, even if it doesn't burst down. Give them even more control in the ADROIT. Again, you've got to be careful about how they execute. You've got BKB up and running on Carl now. Magic damage that was burning through Carl earlier, not going to be a factor. It's going to be really hard to deal with DK. You don't quite have the physical damage up and running yet on Natsumi, so it's going to be hard to just handle Carl.
ADROIT. He's free at the moment in this mid lane, just trying to delay that wave speed. Carl gonna get off track, trying to go on the fence, but see him off very easy. Low. Oh, it's my turn to disconnect from the game.
Yeah, just standard stuff. They are sieging the tier 2. Carl, with the Dragon Form, of course, can pump out a lot of damage, although the creep wave is not really there, so you're forced to wait out just a bit.
You fought and died.
it's pretty choked out. Yeah, that's gonna stay that way for a while. Once Natsumi has not even butterfly, but I think it's gonna take until the BKB for Natsumi to let off some steam and start to give space to his other core. Before that, you know, it's just gonna be slow build up for Mac, slow build up for Bensoy. They still are about to hit some key timing stuff. Bensoy is just peeled all the way from below. Yeah, it's yeah, they're really just laying it onto ADROIT. ADROIT, they're not quite playing as well as we'd expect them to. They are just streaming in one by one, and for those key kills, I mean, Carlos is on a roll. Ah, yeah, it's perfectly fitting as well, of course. Dragon with a dragon scale, you would expect that. Still, ADROIT, I mean, it really is falling apart. It's a 5k lead for GEEK fam. It's not quite the end of the world. It's not a massive lead. ADROIT just needs to hold this high ground. You know, this is where the Medusa can really shine if you play the stall game. It just clears out the high ground really well, and you've got good team fight up here. It's a tight area. Your Elder Titan shines, your Phoenix shines as well. You just need that to be up and running. No, they really can't. They're gonna really just have to ride through the rough waves if they want. GEEK now with an 8k lead, as building up a lot better on everyone else. Ravens had good progress. He's approaching his own butterfly at a very good pace, and you look at he is for the SNY now, just for added click and ability. So a lot of things shaping up. I mean, ADROIT, they did finish up the Lotus Orb on Bensoy, and I believe the BK of Mac is going to be up soon. In fact, it does look like he's flying that out. Yeah, I think yeah, there it is. So you do have a lot more potential to stand in front, but there's a lot that you have to pull off now. The map is shrinking, and the fam, they're starting to widen that lead. Really is. And ADROIT, he bled out a lot in that last exchange. You look at Natsumi now, Mike. It's straight into the. That's it. There's just no room for anything less on Medusa. They need the defense up and running. She does have the KB, so Natsumi does have that added ability. Shouldn't be cycloned anymore. Really has to be able to be there to pump the damage out, to get the combo with the egg. They just need to land that every single time, and does feel like they're starting to find those tools, but the map is really dark. They just can't stick out too far, and GEEK fam, one small misstep from ADROIT, they can really punish hard. Oh.
You fought and died.
Oh man. GEEK fam don't need a rush. They're just gonna go straight for the megas, and Mac is gonna have to hold out. Just the two of them with Gloomy. They don't have their ults, they don't have the egg. Went for the Medusa. Natsumi just could not find the early farm, and
And love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on. till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go, finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest, echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
It's on to Raven again.
That they may. You don't want to give too much space over to that Morphling. He can become a real big problem, as we saw in Game 1. GEEK Fam definitely looking to try and get a 2-0 victory here if they can afford to, but ADROIT, they've been looking so great throughout the Pro Series. They want to try and at least just force us out to a draw. Of course, ADROIT do have a second series straight after this one. And we've seen this over and over again throughout the earlier days where teams that have 2 series in a row, for some reason, always end up losing the first series, 0-2, and then it tends to just keep happening to them in the second series. So, you want to have that kind of pattern start for them as well. You want to force out a draw, at least end on a high note for this series, and try to go into the next series with a fresh mind.
Definitely, it is a bit of a challenge playing 4 games in a row. It's not just in this, of course, but we've seen that in different leagues, different tournaments where it can take a bit of a toll. And mind you, Mike, we start at 12 p.m. Singapore time. That is lunch, so a lot of these teams, you know, maybe they get a bit out of fuel midway, could use perhaps a little pick-me-up with a drink or something.
You might need a Monster, John. Any drinks we drink here.
Exactly it.
I love the fact that no matter what I'm bringing up as a topic, you always find a way to make it about lunch.
Yeah, it's again, like, I don't know, it's Southeast Asia, we're all about food, because there's nothing else, there's not much in this region to make people happy, Mike. It's really just the food. It's a miserable place. The food is great, so you might as well dwell on that. Still, both sides do trade 2 runes each.
You never get to work for the SCA tourism industry, John. You wouldn't be the greatest candidate, I don't think.
Hey, come to Southeast Asia, we've got nothing else but food. That's one way to advertise.
Oh boy. So we're gonna have a bit of harassment here. Whiteman's gonna dish out a bit more just before that laning stage starts. He hasn't gone for the level 1 Feral Impulse, of course. He does go for the Wolves, which does mean he is quite susceptible to a lot of harassment out from the side of GEEK Fam early, but of course he's gonna have CML there on that Enchantress. And that basically guarantees you the win in the lane, even if you provide all this harassment to Natsumi. He's just not going to care, because later on, he knows this lane is just going to be free for him to take.
Yeah, it is, and Zephyr, once you run out of those fire spirits, you really don't have much of a presence for half a minute, so there's only so much you can expect from the Phoenix to help Cuckoo out. still, Natsumi is off to a bit of a good start, and really going to be at level 2 and Ku could at least have the disarm going in these exchanges.
Zephyr taking so much damage. Level 1 impetus, just pure damage is always very, very nice at level 1. It's up to the top lane. You'll see Ben Soy struggling a bit there on that core Venomancer. Boom, you're going to try and help out in that position for Ember, but it can be a little bit challenging in the earlier levels. You've only really got that sleight of fist to spam right now. And that does tend to make it hard, though. Ben Soy can get jumped on now. Raven going to make the chase, so no, they won't quite finish it, but Whiteman, it won't be enough. He went back to the south cancellation, but Ben Soy does back off in time. But this top lane so far for Raven going very, very well, John. Top of the last hit score at 9-0.
Yeah, this is not a great sign for ADROIT, just getting that done. Although they did land the Gale, but it's really not enough early on. You can see Whitemon as well, opting for the cast healing build. Just wants to sustain Raven, and in this lane, just sustaining yourself is going to be a win.
Very, very true. You do need a lot of that regen when you are up against the Venom. It can get very, very hard to sustain yourself with that poisonous venomous Gale damage. Of course, mid lane, Carl, they're up against Mac, and it's the battle of the summons, it seems. Mac doing fairly well, and so is Carl. They're just trading very, very evenly in terms of farm at the moment. So bot lane, Zephyr is going to be able to find CML. I thought Zephyr was going to be the one to die there, but it's not quite the case. Then she gets the first one. And now Whiteman goes down up at the top lane. Raven trying to fight back up against Fumi. Does go for the waveform and does get the trade. And now Ben Soy making the chase. Raven, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think overall, Geek Fam is still going to be pretty happy about grabbing First Blood. Trading a Witch Doctor for an Ember isn't too bad as well, as, you know, that does give Whitemon a reset. He was out of mana for the Voodoo, gets to come back in with an additional style, a clarity, and full mana means you can just heal Raven up, so I don't think Geek Fam's going to mind that at all.
At what point do you think this mid-Nexus Prophet starts making some rotations? Because we've seen this over and over again with these mid-MPs. They haven't been working out for most teams that are running them. They do tend to just be very, very stagnant in that mid lane. Trying to continuously push it in, but just being defended most of the time. Do you think Mac is just going to focus on farming as every other mid-Prophet has done, or do you think you actually make the ganks happen?
I don't think you can expect too many early rotations from Mac. The earliest time we've seen NPs move around is level 5, and that's usually if there's a dive. It doesn't look like they're going to find that opening, and I think once you leave this lane, it's going to be very easy for Carl to completely take over. So you do have to watch out for where you commit. I think at this point, Mac is just happy to keep Carl in check. I think that's going to be key. Just keeping pace with the Beastmaster ensures that he's not really shoving these towers down.
Bot lane hasn't been any easier, by the way, for the Lycan. At least Zephyr might die here, and no, he does barely survive. CML here left the lane for a little bit after that first blood. And that really made it so Natsumi just could not farm up on that Lycan. Now catching up very, very quickly though. I suppose the one positive is with this Lycan is you can just pick up Necro 1 the jungle and catch up very, very quickly.
Yeah, and Natsumi set to have a pretty decent pace into that Necro Book 1. He's not doing too bad in the last hits. 5 to 11, just slightly ahead of Raven, although the pressure from Spam.
Yeah, they're gonna go. They do actually get a kill for Raven top lane, but Natsumi does go down to the bot lane. Zephyr also losing his life. Now Wyman chased down by Ben Soy. He playing, he will make it. But Raven also going down up at that top lane is not good news for Geek Fan. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. But ADROIT, they do manage to find it.
Yeah. Pretty topsy-turvy start. Geek Fan not gonna be happy with Raven, but they also found the Lycan. So in the end, that's a cool sort of priority trade. Raven's just about to hit that point where he can pick up his Morbid Mask, and once he has that up, he could basically just leave this lane. You know, it's starting to be an issue with Bensoy. They'd opt for the Poison Sting and Gale build. So you're really just not getting that sustain this time around for the Morph, and I think, you know, just wait for the Morbid Mask and try to go into the jungle. Let Whitemon cop the hard lane. XP anyway.
CML going down in the mid lane. Looks like Carl just committed a raw. Doesn't put the kill for himself. And now Boomy's going to rotate over. Mac is there as well. They sprout up. Carl trying to TP, and he will make it. Boomy committed to initiate that little engagement, and it does not pay off. But they can try to focus down this T1 mid tower a little bit. Mac does have a lot of trees going right now, so he can definitely apply a lot of pressure. Forcing Zephyr to try and defend this on the Phoenix. But now CML's joined in as well. If they do find this mid tower, things could get a lot worse here for the side of Zephyr. Going to take a lot of damage. Does end up going down to Booty, but now the rotation's in. Carl will be there with Whiteman. Cuckoo also TPing in. And Boomy does die here on the Ember. And they to protect that C1 tower from really just going down.
Find a Knight's pickup as well, killing off that Ember. Though they do lose Bensoy. Troy not that, and yeah. This is a constant issue for Adroit. TPs are overpowered, Mike. You don't have anything to stop it.
Very true. I mean, that being said, Adroit does have a map, but Mac is too late to the party.
Yeah, it's been rather static as Ben is doing the now, but he's out of mana and doesn't really have his Nature's Call, so they're not going to have additional treants still. With a light tower still pretty fast.
Slowly but surely. The Necro 1 book up, so this is when the pushing really does begin. Mid lane, however, Boomy does go down on the Ember. Carl once again just finding another kill for himself. He didn't have to commit the raw, so he can actually go into CML if he really wants. They definitely want to start trying to find some trades on these towers. Meanwhile, Cuckoo bot lane forced to roll and TP away. Struggle there down the bot lane on the Pangolier. Overall, I think Adroit are doing pretty damn good so far with this draft. They are starting to group up into that mid lane. You'll see Natsumi taking stacks away from the side of GEEK camp. To be a lot of farm being robbed from this side. You should be able to just collapse mid with spotted very, very soon.
Yeah, it's really going to be key to find these early towers. Every single time when you have that Lycan draft, just want those for the objectives, and Whitemon.
It does throw out the paralyzing cast, but it will not matter. With that Witch Doctor going down, it's going to be even more of an opening now for Adroit. And this is getting worrisome for GEEK fam. They have not found one T1 tower yet. No trades going on for them. This is exactly what they did to the side of Adroit last game. And now, Ed coming out. Look at going to go down very, very easily. Zephyr just trying to delay things. Now Cuckoo with the Rolling Thunder. Will committed by Carl. They do find Matt. Natsumi, the ball will be able to run away. Though no, he wants to go back in. Carl will fall low and does go down. Cuckoo now swashbuckling away. And that should be enough. It's a 1-for-1 trade on those mid-heroes. Zephyr does also go down to the Phoenix. For overall, you can call that a win for Adroit.
Definitely is. They found the objective they want. They can start eating into that jungle that GEEK fam has. And they are start to bounce it out a bit, although they do drop CML. Even then, Adroit, I think they need a lot more work done. They're finding the objectives, but you're starting to see the same thing happening from game one. Raven's just left alone. He died once in lane, but he's having a free time farming up now. You can't allow this Earthling unchecked.
No, that you can't. Raven going to be working towards that same build. He's just going for a Yasha first. Winning those extra stats, Yasha is great value for a small or medium item. Into that T1 bot tower. Adroit can choose to defend this, so it's not going to be too big of a problem for them. They will bring in some heroes, so immediately Ben jumped on that Witch Doctor. The death ward loads up Bensoy, and now see him not going to be in trouble. Boomy is trying to jump onto Wyman in the background, but that won't matter too much inside of GEEK. In fact, Wyman, he's still alive. He does finally go down, but now Boomy has no mana left, so can't really remnant out. That'll be a 3-4. Boomy just spending so much time trying to get through that Witch Doctor HP. And it's that Voodoo Restoration again, John. He just buys so much time for Whiteman.
It really does. You can't underestimate the sustain a level 1 Voodoo Restoration brings now. It just does a lot, and they lose 3 heroes, they lose the bot tier 1. You're not finding enough across the map to compensate. Natsumi's just kind of farming up, which is fine, but you're trading a lot for that farm. So GEEK fam, gonna be happy with how these set of events are unfolding, and honestly this game, I wouldn't want Raven actually going for the Manta style. Once you have that up, you can just purge off everything Bensoy has. Then suddenly the Venmancer doesn't do anything. You only have to worry about Nova, but Nova doesn't really kill you because it's non-fatal.
Holy crap, Natsumi. He's got the next
Yeah, he
does fine. Good.
did skip boots, Natsumi, so it was a dead rush.
It's there's no point to it. You already run so fast as it is. That is a quick Necro 3. Now well, he's top of the Necro 4. He has been focusing on farm quite a lot. But with that Necro 3 up, you could really start applying a lot of pressure here on GEEK fam. I don't think they...
They've got to be a bit cautious about that. I think they do have some ways, if they're lucky with the bounces on Whitemon, and they just manage to take out just the right amount of creeps around Natsumi, got an opportunity to perhaps trap him in. Can't underestimate damage Whitemon can do with Maledict and the Death Ward. So it's just the issue of clumping. Not watch out. For the most part, GEEK fam has been. They've not really kept the Lycan in check. GEEK fam's just been looks like just happy and kind of build up.
Time for Natsumi to start pushing down more towers, though, I think. He, of course, is going to build the AC by the looks of it straight after. Maybe the Helm of the Dominator first, though. He wants to add on that extra. See ADROIT smoked up the top lane. They're going to see Zephyr on that Phoenix. Zep's the only one there right now, so they'll just jump in, chains out as one party can start waiting the moment, and well, gets the egg off. Hermes in trouble. And he does go down. But Hiccups was so close from being there, and now Roar out. They are going to kill Bensoy as well. That is not great news. You have such a quick Necro book on Natsumi, but he can't use it. His teammates are dying around him.
Yeah, the execution again for ADROIT just not quite being there, and with those sets of kills, they go straight to the GEEK fam knows. Without all these heroes, there's no way you can really contest as ADROIT.
It's a big loss. Lycan 100% wants that ace. If I get the time the Wolf, but doesn't get it. It does go down prior to the Wolf getting there for the Aegis. That's just such a shame. ADROIT has lost so much in the span of a minute.
Yeah.
If you're a GEEK fan right now, John, you are sitting very, very happy.
You definitely are. You're just building up. You've given Raven all the space. He has been keeping up with Natsumi. Now he's slowly ahead. So that Morphling is going to be an issue once more, as it was in Game 1. And GEEK fam, you know, they do play better late. They're not depending on an early spike from a Venomancer. They're not depending solely on objectives in Wukong.
Yeah, Deathwolf being no, just doesn't get out of range. You guys for that. Now he's gonna find the traitor, or maybe not. Wyman's still alive. He does eventually go down, but Cuckoo, or Carl rather, has the roar up in just a second. Then Soil, Zephyr gonna go down. Now the Lycan being brought up, and they're bursting down in time. Cuckoo with the wrong thunder now, stunning up. They will get Natsumi and Boomy. He's gonna try and make a run for it. In fact, no, he'll fight back. I don't recommend it though. Max in trouble. He's gonna go down, and now Boomy really only left with Bensoy. He's trying to run it forward. Carl is falling low, but Zephyr is giving him up. And now Bensoy, he just came to the team fight, but he's gonna die straight away by Cuckoo. It's just not good news. It is definitely not good news for ADROIT. You look at Raven, John, he's farming this whole time. He wasn't even there.
Yeah, he's just about to finish up that Mantis style. Only the strategy with that Venomancer falls apart. You're just not gonna have any effect on his HP regen once that's up, and right after, Raven's not even going to be satisfied with that. He's actually gonna go for a full BKB. So you really just lose any way to control, although... Oh no.
This is very awkward. He had the Agi morphing as well, Matt. The perfect time there with that Orchid. Raven, the that is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it happens, and I don't think Raven's gonna be too upset though. Again, he's just been farming up, and he's just gonna keep farming. He doesn't really care. He's gonna stall, go into the BKB, and at that point, ADROIT, they have to be a lot more towards Raven. To be able to find that target, they need to win these fights. They need to chain their spells out to get the Poison Nova on top when the fight breaks out for max damage, but they haven't been able to clump up properly, and it's causing them issues. This is kind of the same issue we saw in Game 1. They had big team fight spells then that they couldn't really get out staggered properly, and in Game 2 they're just streaming in one by one. They can't afford to do that.
Their work lead only about 1k the way of GEEK fam right now. So very, very close. ADROIT, they are grouping up mid. They're going to smoke up. Be a big team fight. But the problem is GEEK fam have also smoked up at the exact same time. They're going to run straight into each other. Carl will have his smoke broken. So will Zumi. Now, himself going into the Wolf paralyzing cast is out from White. The weak takes down straight away, does go down. Now Zumi rolling thunder onto Zeno. The blocky enchantment is lead right now. But the egg right on top of the cliff. Nobody can take it down. It's going to explode. That's enough Sunray. Oh, no, he's in big, big trouble. And he will die here to with a swashbuckle. And I thought it was such a great fight for the side of ADROIT to start with, but it just turned so quick as well. Just not the way they wanted it. Well, Matt, he just keeping top. He just said, screw the team fight. I'll start pushing top tower, guys. I'll see you later.
Just a really good team fight again for GEEK fam. Zephyr with the egg up the cliff, giving them a lot of space there. And on top of losing that fight, Mike, you know what else ADROIT lost? ADROIT lost an imp claw. It fell on the ground, they picked it up, so just losing a tier 2 item on top, losing all your heroes. You lost one tier 2 item, a really big one in that imp claw.
They do get cuckoo mid lane. Yeah, Reagan's holding that imp claw right now. So that is a very, very nice item to have in your pos 1. It does add a lot of damage on to the already existing damage of Raven.
It does. You know, I'm actually curious. Didn't they set it so that these items doesn't drop when an enemy's in range? We've seen this twice now, where it was Miracle yesterday who gave away a telescope. A key. Raven picks it up. Like, that should not be happening. These are massive swings for any team that uses it. You know, these items are really important, and this is going to hurt ADROIT, even if it's just, you know, tier 2. That's a nice boon for GEEK fam.
That it is. I don't know if it was meant to be fixed. There's a lot of things that have been meant to be fixed. Have been. Bit unfortunate to see John. He just misses out on the enemy sentry and puts the observer ward down right next to the sentry of the die. Look at this. Sentry surrounding the sentry of GEEK fam, and they're just right outside of the range. And that obs will get dewarded very, very quick by the side of GEEK fam. However, Wyman does run to Natsumi down to the bot lane. Nice easy pick off there for Natsumi. He does commit the wolf bomb for that. Now the top tier 2 talent does go down as well. So although ADROIT have been losing these big engagements, they're not really that far behind. They are still very, very capable of pushing down talents very quick with this draft. And if you are GEEK fan, you can't really just take it easy. You have to keep up that pressure.
out that you can't really allow ADROIT to bounce off with objectives, and they have kept the net worth pretty much in check. Just a 2k advantage for GEEK Fam, not the biggest. And GEEK Fam right now, again, does look like they're just waiting for Raven to really be ready. He's saving up for the BKB next. It's just about the recipe away. So once that's up and ready, with the Manta, with the BKB, Raven's just not going to be controlled at all. I think that's really just the win condition for GEEK Fam. Sitting it out, they know that ADROIT needs these early objectives, and the fact that they've been stalled out for this long with a Lycan draft, you know, the timing's not amazing. It's not the worst yet, and there is certainly room to grow, but you do start to wonder, is Natsumi going to be able to hold out against the Morphling down the line? Very recently, it hasn't seemed like he can.
I don't think you can, not as a Lycan. You can try. The only way I think you beat a Morphling late game is if he makes a mistake. Unless you get that Orchid off while he's Agimorphing, which we did see earlier on, was obviously very, very effective. I mean, in all fairness, you do still have Bensoy there on the Venom who can really stop all that regen happening in the first place. But the problem is Bensoy is just not so quick during these fights. He just isn't really having any impact.
No. And we've seen this with a Venomancer multiple times. Like, as they approach the 25-30 minute mark, they just lose relevance. They're just backer. Still, looks like ADROIT does want to find something great. It's right there.
The Wolfform going to come out, Natsumi's going to make a chase. Zephyr does TP into the outpost now, but could be in trouble. Yes, and maybe stay early. Who won't yet. He'll just hold out. Matt's trying to spot to Raven. They're going to go after that Nexus Prophet now. Egg will be dropped in the middle of all this, and now the Roar comes out. Carl, he does drop Bensoy again. CMO goes down as well. A double. Now Matt trying to TP out there, but Cuckoo with the good old drive-by John ends up. And now GEEK Fam find a triple kill for Raven. And ADROIT are falling apart here. They're trying to push out that top lane and force them back, but it's only booming. It's an Ember Spirit.
Yeah, he can't do much. He went for Tramples Yields. Really not going to be dishing too much damage out. They take the tier 2 bot. You can get some chip damage with that siege creep, but it's really not going to amount to too much. Now, GEEK Fam, they finish up that BKB on Raven. So even if Bensoy lives, you're really just not touching the one. He is just going to get what he wants in all these exchanges.
Increasingly bad news here for ADROIT. Not to mention the Roshan's up. At the Lycan draft, you always want to get the Roshans, because that's what your hero does best. Well, they've got to fight this. I don't think they can let GEEK Fam have this for free. They're just already too far ahead to have an Aegis on top. Reagan's going to catch up now. Kumi and Cuckoo's going to have the rolling thunder. Won't connect. Nice going up there from Ember and still find shots. Natsumi pops the Wolfform. Raven still trying to find a tunnel to roll on. He will just have to roll the way it seems. Carl gets out there with the beat blasters. Now Matt popping BKB. We're going to be there on the point. White and looks up the lane. The beat fight is very, very Natsumi ends up going down the high ground. Carl will go down as well, but they'll also lose Bensoy and Latino. No, they want the Ember. They want the initial target they went for. He will not remnant. He will die like a man. But Raven's in a double again. He's currently 13-1 on this play. And it's back to Roshan here.
There's no way you throw everything out from ADROIT. It is going to be a free second Roche for GEEK Fam. Did cost them a bit, but come on, it's a Witch Doctor. His buyback's not really the highest priority anyway. That was a lot of value just to ensure it's Roche. So they do find the objective they want, and they even get the deny in their bot T1. Mac can't even find that goal.
Terrible. Now, scoring chances is going to get caught out. Won't matter. But they will make it probably for fun. Just to give her a bit more air time. So,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Weltman, can you go first? You can.
Deadwood, Bensoy, the 4-star out. TP immediately as that Melody can do a lot of damage. That's just not a good sign though. Your Pos 3 is scared of a Pos 5 Witch Doctor. It's just not how you want to be playing this. And if that Raven comes by, gives him the cheese as well. It's like, here you go. Here, in case you're in trouble, have some cheese. Zephyr getting fueled off again, but there will be Remnant out booming, a Remnant out again, Raven is right behind. Wants to get that slide this chain, that's get it as well. He's gonna try and use up now. It should be fine for Remnant out of there.
Man, GEEK fam's just finding a bit too much off the map now. 8k advantage, 17 to 30. It's at this point where I'd argue that Lycan drops off. He dropped off really hard. Still saving up for the AC on Natsumi, but the rest of his draft, the rest of ADROIT's draft, just centered around his objectives, and they're past that point. Your Venomancer's tapered off, your Lycan still has damage, but isn't enough to face up against Morphling and now.
Oh, Mac, you gotta run, sir. Your BKB they won't have enough damage. That mid T2 is not going to be a bit in trouble now. GEEK fam, they are going to start forcing it down. Up at that top lane though, Natsumi has sent his units onto the tier 3 tower. So this might force the side of GEEK fam back. They do commit. But of course those units are going to go back to that cliff. And now Boom is going to go on. Tier 2 mid does go. GEEK fam, do you want to TP back or do you want to try and go high ground? They are going to try and go high ground. So it's a bit of a base race going on already between these two. ADROIT not really backing off, which is going to force Carl to back up. That tier 3 are very low. Maybe they'll find the Boomy will just TP right in front of the tier 3 and does get the plane. Now, Zephyr was on top of Natsumi. He does have the Yules up, but decides not to use it. I guess there's no real point anyways. You don't really have any help around. But that is actually a little win there for ADROIT. They do get a substantial amount of damage onto that tier 3 tower.
Yeah, and they hold on to their high ground as well with that play. So, you know, they're hanging in there. They're forcing GEEK fam to really think twice before committing for any further objectives. Although, Raven now just gonna chip away to tier 1 for free. Has been up for a bit too long, and perhaps look at that tier 2, although their wave is pretty far out. And you still have Natsumi cutting that wave.
That tier 2 tower won't give him enough to just buy out the butterfly. In fact, he's just gonna go to the jungle now, and he really just doesn't have any waves to pass. So ends up skipping the shotgun this time around, just wants pure right click. Perfectly fine. Does have the butterfly up, and look who they tell. Moving up to me, and he has no wall right now, so he is just dead. That's a high ground attempt.
Quite more.
We're trying to push in the side lanes here. Matt forcing in that top lane. Same was being done by CML down the bot lane, but they're not backing off. They are stalking with his mid racks. Boomy gonna run it back now. Raven, he has that many barracks basically taken out, but the backdoor protection kicks in. Now silence is there from Matt. He'll match that off, but they can't finish off the racks yet. They need more creep. The Sunset is there to heal up that creep lane. One creep still alive. They've only got so much time to take his racks out, and they will get it. Now the fight is on. Raven coming in as that ball is there on the Boomy. He will get blown up. GEEK fam steps the bot lane. Fire back there from Boomy. And a respawn. Zephyr. Icarus dives in. Another stance out onto the ball. He does still hold on to that Aegis. Slowly but surely that tier 3 is dropping, but Raven, he doesn't want to push things too far, but they're not letting him go. They want that Aegis to please come. Spirit Vessel on top of the ball. Still dying. Aegis is fine. Raven, he needs to get out. He does have the cheese. He will pop the BKB and just... Still trying to run, having to pop the BKB now. Boomy gonna make the chase. All comes that wall. He is strength popping. Bounces dead. Poison over. Gale. Everything being thrown out. He's in trouble. Raven, he will die. But now the egg is there. And Cuckoo rolling away with the rolling thunder. He will leave Zephyr behind. The egg does explode. Zephyr will try to get one final kill onto CML. And then just get himself off the map. He will do so. He'll TP out successfully. At least he did find Raven.
Yeah, so I'd say that's still a fairly successful defense for ADROIT. Despite losing their racks, they still found a tier 3 top with a bit of a split push. They find a big kill on that Morphling, and they're keeping it a bit in check. They still need a lot of work on the map to really turn the tide against them. But, you know, you've got the AC up and Natsumi, saving up for the BKB, or Lycan can still get some work out. And without Raven, GEEK, I don't think you really want to fight right now.
Oh, he just got you. This is not the Sunray. The moment man is not moving, he would have get roasted by that Sunray. Aimed out though from the end now, Boomy trying to set up. Wyman somehow still alive within this team fight. Zephyr is going to die. Wyman will die as well. And although you found the Lycan, you definitely did not want to give up this much for that kill. But, man fighting, Boomy gets a triple now on that support Ember. Carl's going to be in trouble. They do have the cancellation there with the Yule. And Boomy, CMO will be the one to pick up that kill, but now Raven's back. He will run revive him if that's what it takes. But maybe that wasn't a good idea. Matt, no, he's going to TP up. 4-on-1, and they do not want to bother with Raven right now. They will just let it go.
Yeah, but those are some really good pickoffs coming out for ADROIT on the back end of that push. GEEK fam just, again, forcing fights when they shouldn't have. Raven was not... I'm not sure why you went for that roar. You found a kill, but you've lost everyone else. That does stop the push, though, from ADROIT, so I guess taking the Lycan out did stall out ADROIT's push attempt, which does mean you get yourself a bit more time. Just would have rather not lost 4 heroes in the process. Still, ADROIT, they are slowly building up. Boom is saving up for a Lotus Orb. Once that's up and running, he does get a bit tankier and ignore the Ember. He can really pump out that damage. You see Mac going for the MKB just to deal with the Morphling, and Mac has picked up the pace. He is dealing a lot of damage for the team. Him along with Natsumi. I'd say right now, Mac is a lot stronger in terms of just raw right click, so if you're looking for a solution to that morph, this is it. It's going to be the Nature's Prophet with the Orchid. And we have seen Raven get himself in spots where he doesn't have the Manta and he doesn't have the BKB. Has to be careful about using those items. He needs either one off every single time just to ensure that he's not going to be caught out.
Raven's going for an Eye of Skadi up next, so he's just trying to tank up even more and make life even harder for the side of ADROIT. Again, we see Matt still pushing that top lane, trying to force GEEK fam back. GEEK fam may feel comfortable to just keep going down that bot lane. Zephyr is there to defend on the Phoenix, and he does do a very, very good job of defending. Quite hard to get through that Phoenix, especially with those fire spirits. Phoenix end up melting. Boomy, no chains out. Good miss. And while they have that T3 tower down at the top lane, they just can't get past this Phoenix.
Yeah, this is really stalling out ADROIT's push, but at the same time, GEEK fam without Zephyr in fights lose a lot of their team fight presence. They need the egg around, and they need the Sunray for sustain. They need the damage from Fire Spirits, and as long as he's up here preventing this push, you're really not able to find anything as GEEK fam as well. So it's just a stall tactic from ADROIT to ensure GEEK fam can't make any advances on the map end. This is gonna buy them time to farm up.
I don't think GEEK fam mind having time as well, though. Again, you are still trying to finish off that Eye of Skadi on Raven before you want to go back. I think both teams are also waiting up that next Roshan, which is going to be up in about 10 seconds from now. Expect a big team fight there, but ADROIT, they have smoked up early. Eye of Skadi now going to be there on Raven. Onto the Roshan. Train scouting that out for the side of ADROIT, but they have the Hawk there as well from Carl, so GEEK fam know about this, and they are going to rush straight to the Roshan pit. Now again, this is a Roshan that ADROIT can't really afford to give away.
And
I'm going in towards it.
yeah, you're gonna need separate around for the egg, but
On the map, he got caught up there. He tries to BKB, but Tutu has a bash on. Bashing through the BKB. Can he find one more? He doesn't. Oh. Raven doesn't getting the kill, but now Natsumi's down. Carl, Wyman trying to challenge the death ward, but he will die. The two down for GEEK fam. No buybacks available. Natsumi runs out of the default zone. Now Raven jumps in with the bursts him down. Matt can't afford to die. He just fought back on that next profit. Tutu's going to try and keep him controlled up with that rolling buster. Raven will face his down. There is a huge panic. Therefore, also trouble does end up dying for Phoenix. He can die back to the but there goes Matt. It's a die back on the profit. Raven's triple. He's in an ultra. He wants the rampage. Ben Soy can't he doesn't know what to do right now. He is surrounded and he will get the rampage from Morphling. All the tips coming out for Raven. And on top of that, the cherry on top, he still has a Roshan.
yeah, that's it. It's a free Roche now for GEEK fam. Third Roche of the game. What a refresh. So they can't have the double egg. That's gonna really help GEEK fam find these fights. And I'm not sure what Ben Soy canceled this. It didn't look like he was stunned. He can't pull it out. I'm sure Raven's happy about that. That's his rampage of the game. And there you go. Refresh onto Zephyr. So you're gonna have to contend with this egg twice over. And you just can't. You can't focus on the egg because you have to be aware of Raven. And Zephyr's positioning has been on point. So GEEK fam, they find that exchange. They found a couple of diebacks. Big swing on Mac, and they can just go straight in.
Raven, nope. He's going down to the bot lane. They have the buyback off there on Mac. And I believe they also know Ben Soy buyback earlier on. He's just short of gold right now. They do have a repair kit, but it's not really going to matter, it seems. So that's the secondary rack going down. Now up towards that top lane. There is the T2 tower. So I don't think it can be had yet. They are going to go ahead and clear out that T3 now. Boomy going to be there to try and clear out the creepway, but they shoot them off. Now Boomy getting takes down. That's there with the form of fuel. Raven going to have damage? No. The Remnant will be up just in time. But on top of all the items Raven has now, you have to say Satanic as well. Couldn't have asked for it at a better time as you are going high ground to that final lane of rats for ADROIT. They would, but Raven can easily go through it instead doesn't go after Mooney. They use him up to Sun not coming back. Sun Raven, they kill Sun, he comes to that tower. Now Matt, the BKB, puts the through to force the egg is there as well. Just going to be able to get the full edge direction up. Well about the as well. The double kill is there for Raven. He's trying for more kills than Morphling. He doesn't care about the tower. And play the next target. Maybe triple. No, not quite. The kill will go to Carl. The Raven will be dying. The BB has been called anyway. Another extra block from there. Right by the down. The bit too bright inside house of ADROIT. And GEEK fam. They showed up today, John, getting a 2-0 victory over one of the top teams in the SEA region.
Yeah, they managed to show up and continue that streak over ADROIT.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left.